All right. So here we go. Finally, hopefully this is working properly. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to see or interact with anyone. I will keep an eye on chat. I'll come back and check on the chat here in a moment, but we'll give it a few minutes. We'll let people log on. Is Bitcoin dead? 2018. That's what we're going to be talking about. With all the news and stuff that's going on in the market, I had several things I want to talk about. I thought about 2 or 3 different videos, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do a live stream. So stay tuned for that. Let's see. Oh, looks like we've got some coming on to the live stream. We've got 3 viewers. Welcome, welcome. All right. We're going to be getting started here in a moment. First of all, you know what? We're going to kick this off with a little bit of Yardie.
When cryptos crash, don't you worry, no.
So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about when cryptos crash. You shouldn't worry. By the way, come check out Crypto Yardie's channel, subscribe, come check out this song, listen to it, hit that bell notification icon. This guy's talented. He's probably the only guy that I know producing, creating, singing these types of songs all about cryptocurrency. He's got probably 5 or 6 on his channel. Come check it out. You can download it, the whole 9 yards. So let's see where we're at so far. We have 6 viewers. All right. So welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I've got a lot to cover on this live stream. So hopefully you're able to see everything okay. Let me know if you're not. I'm not certain if I'm able to see questions. I'm not certain. I mean, if I'm able to see comments or questions, but definitely you can leave a comment. I'll be checking back here momentarily. I want to say this. Go ahead and hit that like button, if you will. Go ahead and hit that like button. If you're here, smash that like button. Let's go ahead and get everyone talking about this, because get everyone promote this video, promote this live stream, because I want to open up some dialogue. No one's talking about this stuff. I mean, the market's dropping, it's going nuts. And as it is, everybody's like screaming. I mean, it's crazy. There's OG YouTubers and stuff talking about getting out of cryptocurrency. The market's dropped. We're down 12.4% for Bitcoin. We're down Ethereum, down 106. At one point, it was just under $100, which is awesome. I missed that. I would definitely pull some trigger on some Ethereum personally. That's not financial advice for you. But I'm hearing people talking about what are they going to do. And I get it. I get it. The market's down. It's kind of crazy right now. And so people are freaking out. And many people are talking about stopping YouTube. Nobody's searching the content. There's a bunch of, people that are just really down and depressed right now. And I'm going to listen, it's made me rethink my channel a little bit. And I'm going to talk about what I plan to do in the future. I mean, let's face it, people just aren't looking at cryptocurrency right now. And I'm going to talk about that. I've got a little bit of a plan. I'll be talking about that probably toward the end of the video. Just to let you know what we're going to cover on this live stream today. I'm going to be talking about basically the end of Bitcoin as we know it, essentially. And I'm going to be talking about some cryptocurrency news. I'm going to do kind of a general market outlook on what I think, in my perspective on where we're at in the market. Not that I'm this isn't financial advice. I'm not some sort of a analyst, but obviously I'm an enthusiast in this space. And I'm personally invested in this space, and I have strong convictions about what's going on. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit as well. And I'll wrap it up towards the end, talking about the end of my YouTube channel, or my YouTube channel, and what my thoughts are going forward on the channel. It's not going to end, but I'll talk about that with you. So definitely stay tuned. Again, smash that like button if you're here. Definitely smash that like button. Let people know what's going on. We want them to know about this live stream. Let me see, who do we have? How many do we have so far? Got 11 viewers. Welcome everybody. Welcome. I'm not certain how to see who's here, if that's even possible for me to do. I'm not really sure. Still getting the hang of this live stream thing. So unfortunately, I'm not really sure how to see who's here, who's a comment. I currently have it just basically shared my screen. So we will get back over here and get back on that. What's this? Okay, I'm not worried about that. So getting back over here. So the market's totally down and people are stressing out. And let me just get back. In one of my last videos, I talked about that I was gonna get back to my crypto passive income strategy playlist. And I definitely will get to that. But I wanted to do this live stream today because I had some time this Sunday afternoon. And I wanted to just get to this live stream and cover a lot of topics. But I am passionate about my crypto passive income strategy using the Crypto Tab browser, using the Bitcoin faucets that I use, growing referrals, and I'll tell you why. It's the one thing that is 100% making money right now. I mean, no matter how low Bitcoin goes, as long as it has a value, the crypto passive income strategy is going to work. And that passive income strategy is perfect right now because if you're still in the crypto space, you still want to be picking up cryptocurrency. And it can be scary because you're scared to buy today because, I mean, look, people thought the bottom was going to be at 4,200 in Bitcoin. If you'd have bought in at 4,200, you'd have lost a sizable percentage now at 3,700. So, you know, you can buy it one day and it's going to lose money tomorrow, 10%, 12%, 15% tomorrow. I mean, look at this, red. It's crazy. So it can be, even though you're supposed to buy on red days, you're supposed to be dollar cost averaging, that can be extremely scary right now. So the crypto passive income strategy has a place in my portfolio. It has a place in my strategy, and I will get back to it. But right now, I feel like we need to talk about this market. I mean, look, this is mind blowing. $119 billion. I believe we're going to go under $100 billion. I do believe that. Crazy. Bitcoin dominance at 54.5%. That's not all bad. That's not all bad. So let's talk about the end of Bitcoin for a moment. People are freaking right out. They're talking right out. Let's look at the news. 63 billion deleted from crypto in 7 days. Ethereum price drops underneath $100. Let's just read a little bit of this and talk about it for a moment. In the past 7 days, the crypto market has experienced a drop of more than $63 billion as major cryptocurrencies record double-digit drops. Double-digit drops daily. Bitcoin, the most dominant cryptocurrency in the market, fell by 12%, all the way down to 3,800. Is lower than that now and is lower than that last night, achieving a new yearly low. At its lowest daily point on fiat crypto exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken, the price of BTC fell to $3,456. Ethereum is currently demonstrating a daily volume that is larger than that of Ripple and Bitcoin Cash combined at 2.2 billion. It dropped down to $98, falling to a double digit for the first time since May of 2017. That's crazy. Crazy. Let's pull this up here. All right. Let's just keep going. So at 3,000, with Ethereum at $98 and Bitcoin at 3,456, technical indicators show oversold conditions for both major digital assets. Now we're about to talk about one of the problems with technical indicators. And I've shared technical indicators. I'm not going to tell you that I totally hate technical analysis, but I'm in the like 20-25% camp in favor. I mean, overall, I think technical analysis, I hate to say garbage, but it's definitely overrated. I'll say that. I believe technical analysis is totally overrated. And this is a perfect example of that. So technical indicators show oversold conditions for both major digital assets. Probably due to oversold conditions, Bitcoin has recovered relatively quickly from the 3,400 mark to the 3,700 mark. So here's what happens. The technical indicators, because the market dropped so much, all of the indicators are going to say, oh no, it's dropped too much. It's oversold. It's going to reverse. That's what the indicators are supposed to indicate. But what happens is it creates a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but only for a moment. I mean, technical indicators can never outrun fundamentals in the long term. But this just shows you, probably because people saw, all the technical indicators, so it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy and people buy in. Now, some people understand it's a self-fulfilling prophecy and they're looking to be able to make money from the self-fulfilling prophecy. The problem is the prophecy has already fulfilled itself by the time the indicators confirm what you're seeing. I hope that makes sense. So you almost got to be able to move out of sync in some ways with the technical indicators to really maximize your profits, but that's a discussion for another day. So on average, Bitcoin tends to drop by 85% during a major correction. This is important. Bitcoin is dead. Everybody talking about cryptocurrencies dying. Now listen, I tend to be a bit of a contrarian. When people are excited, I'm nervous. When people are scared, I tend to be excited and at least see the positive outcome, because I know that's how you make money in markets, especially in any market where you're trying to buy assets. This is how it works in real estate. When everybody's telling you real estate is, the wrong time to buy, when everybody's telling you, to get out of the market, that's when you buy real estate. Now, I actually look at real estate investing through all the markets, but right now, in the current market that I buy real estate in, it's looking a little bit amazing. Like, prices are skyrocketing, they're amazing. I'm honestly nervous about buying in the current market. Why? Because I know the market's going to turn around, and we are due for probably a real estate correction sometime in the next 6 months to 2.5 years. So, and it could be, a quick, sharp correction. So that's just kind of how I look at the markets in general. So we're down. Bitcoin tends to drop to 85% during major corrections. Now, let's talk about this for a moment. I've seen several YouTubers talk about this, and I get it. It makes sense. I understand it, but I cannot stand when we look at cryptocurrency historically, because it's not even all that old. There's not even much of a track record there. And the market is so radically different from 2 or 3 years ago and 2 or 3 years before that to today. We do know that it can fall by 85%. When Bitcoin was running at $20,000 or close to $20,000, I was talking about, hey, this may drop. It may drop to 10. It may drop to 5,000. And I have YouTubers saying things like, oh, we may never see 10,000 again. We may be so far beyond that. But it didn't make sense, the speed at which the market went up. Anytime you see a market skyrocket, you can always see it crash. So I thought, I just don't know about that. And if you've been following me for a long time, you heard me talk about we could see $5,000 Bitcoin or lower. And it continues to go lower. And it may continue to go lower. I mean, we have seen 90% market drops, so we can at least see that again. However, we're always building a floor, and every market drop, I think we're building a floor. So I don't know how much lower 1,000 we would get if we get to 1,000. I definitely think we're going to get to 2,000, and it could go lower. And I hear people say things like, when's the market going to turn around? I'll talk about that a little bit later in this video. So following Bitcoin's expected drop below the 4,000 mark, traders became more comfortable in finding short-term bottom in the price trend of BTC. All right. A cryptocurrency trader, blah, 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 think that was it. Impossible to know if a bottom is a short or long-term bottom. Possible to sense once a major bottom may be in by looking at high-frequency bars, blah, blah, blah. And of course, this guy's supposed to be an expert trader and economist, and he's like, hey, it's still impossible to know. All right, so let's keep moving. Bitcoin's down. It's bleak. It's looking rough. YouTubers talking out of the market. People are having to go back to work because they're making a living on cryptocurrency. All this craziness. Let's keep going. Legal experts conclude Bitcoin may not be legally possible to possess. Okay, now here's where we start getting into some interesting stuff. And I think this is where it's important to understand that we're beginning to see the use case of cryptocurrency. And let's just read through part of this article. We're not going to go through all of it. In Bitcoin's cryptographic design, the holder of the key or keys in the case of multi-signature transaction, whoever holds the keys to coins is the decision maker. When it comes to spending them, the fraudulent activities at Mt. Gox and other exchanges were ultimately due to this fact. People made deposits, essentially giving control of their funds to the exchanges. This is no different, of course, than putting one's money into a bank. In the case of Mt. Gox, the government got involved and saw that fraud had obviously occurred. Despite assertions by some legal scholars, we know that Bitcoin is recognized as legal property in the United States and China, at least. In fact, a Chinese case recently fleshed out in court deemed them legal property, as in, not only are they personal property, but they are property that the Chinese are allowed to possess rather than contraband, while some things surrounding Bitcoin remain illegal and or banned. The assertions we speak of in the form of a research paper published in the Journal of Law and Technology at the University of Richmond. In the paper, Johann David Michaels and 3 other legal scholars examined the possibility that cryptographic tokens may not be legally enforceable property in some jurisdictions, with a focus on courts in England and Wales. According to the article, Michaels wrote in reference to the paper, so what about digital tokens such as cryptocurrencies? Tokens don't physically exist. They are entries on a virtual ledger, and case law in England and Wales has established that a thing which exists only in electronic form cannot be subject of possession. So digital tokens aren't things in possession. It bears noting that the case law Michael cites to make assertion that England and Wales do not recognize digital property surrounded a very different animal from Bitcoin or digital assets. Carbon emission credits, as such, while they are tradable assets, they don't have the same properties as cryptocurrencies. They cannot, for instance, be easily used for the purchase of goods or services. Now, this is a big distinction, because it doesn't matter what case law they cite. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Every industrialized country creates their laws, and they always typically look at past rulings, past case law, to determine how they should rule in the future. And the whole purpose is to create consistency. But this right here, they don't have the same properties as cryptocurrencies. They cannot be, for instance, easily used for purchase of goods or services. In other words, these carbon tax, which they're using, or carbon credits, which they're using as case law, cannot be money. Cryptocurrencies can be money. So this cryptocurrency can threaten the very fundamental foundations of governments. This is why I don't think regulations long-term are going to be positive, but they're making an argument, and it's an interesting argument, and the argument is that you can't legally own it. But let's keep going a little bit. It would seem that in cases where defendants tried to claim that they hadn't stolen anything since the property wasn't legally defined, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, let me skip through that. Okay. To date, most courts have recognized Bitcoin as a valuable asset of the parties involved. Wherever a theft occurs, a court is designed to seek justice on behalf of the people within its jurisdiction. The fact that there is a gray area surrounding digital ownership of assets should not come as a surprise. The whole industry is relatively new, especially in the ancient canons of law. All things being equal, there just haven't been enough cases yet. At the same time, it would take a rare level of brashness for a defendant to say that he had not stolen coins simply because they were not legally property. It would seem a safer defense, this is important, to deny ever possessing the coins at all, as Charlie Shrem recently did. Charlie Shrem is a Bitcoin millionaire many times over. Most people know this. And he recently denied owning Bitcoin. So by the way, if people don't know you have it, if they can't prove you got it, then it can't be confiscated. It can't be taken away from you. I mean, there are plenty of people that would argue, hey, maybe we should define Bitcoin as property. And that way, if you looked at the blockchain and you could tell that someone stole someone else's Bitcoin, if you could somehow prove that and look at the blockchain, then they should be held liable. I tend to be under the belief of, if your Bitcoin gets stolen, your Bitcoin gets stolen. I mean, it comes down to personal responsibility. There's so many, I do not like decentralization. And we just start to get in a scary aspect when we create laws and we want a central authority to govern those laws. You start getting away from some of the decentralization aspect of Bitcoin. Now, currently in this day and age, at this current time, most people in developed countries have probably corrupt politicians, but you don't have outright crooked, deceptive, steal all your money type politicians. But when you start looking at very corrupt governments historically in the past, and all governments giving enough time ultimately become extraordinarily corrupt. You always end up in totalitarian governments. It's never not occurred. It's like that double negative. So with that in mind, when you create laws, you got to understand you don't know what the future holds. And when you look at something like Venezuela right now, I mean, they're so corrupt. Nicaragua's having issues down there with their government. I mean, these corrupt governments, heck, you got Russia, you got Vladimir Putin, killing people who come up against him, poisoning them and crazy mess like that. It would be easy for a government to confiscate somebody's assets if it was in a centralized system. In a decentralized system, it becomes very difficult for them to take them. You have to understand that fundamental. And you have to go look at videos like Money is Debt, which I will talk about ad nauseum, because when there's a down market, it's important to understand what is the primary use case for cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. Because if you understand the fundamentals, you begin to understand that there's absolutely no way on this planet that cryptocurrency does not eventually hit mainstream adoption. And I'm going to do that live stream as well at some point here. Maybe this week. I'm actually running this live stream as a bit of a test. I was hoping to, by the way, to be able to see some messages over here, and there's no way for me to, that I'm aware of. If you're watching this channel, then leave a comment either now or once the video is over. Let me know how I'm able to see group chats, if at all, when I'm doing the live stream. This way, viewing showing my screen, because it's the only way I'm going to do live streams. But I would like to be able to interact with messages, and I don't know how to do that. Maybe there's a way to do it on my phone in conjunction. Just not really sure. Not really sure. Okay, we'll continue on. So now this is a fascinating article, and it kind of goes in combined here. Bitcoin won't last, but crypto is here to stay. So keep this in mind. This is, no matter what the market's doing, crypto is here to stay. So we're kind of turning the stream a little bit. I'm going to start talking about the future of cryptocurrency. And I'm not going to go into why I think it's going to ultimately go into mass adoption, but I'm going to talk about some of the positive fundamentals that people are forgetting about right now. And so stay tuned for that. So then we're going to go into some more market outlook, and we're going to go into the future of my YouTube channel with the crashing crypto market and so many other YouTubers going away. So, and so many other YouTubers slowing down. Guys who are publishing daily are now publishing once or twice a week. So I'm going to tell you what my plans are going forward with my YouTube channel. Less search volume on YouTube right now. So it's, cryptocurrency is not the happening, trending place to be building a channel and putting out content. So I'm going to talk about that towards the end of the video or the end of this live stream. Let's cover this right now. Bitcoin won't last. Crypto's here to stay, according to Edward Snowden. By the way, I'm always blown away that this guy is like, why does he become, if you trust the mainstream press for a moment, let's talk about Edward Snowden. If you trust the mainstream press for a moment, then this guy basically was a whistleblower, a leaker who leaked a lot of documents, and basically he proved that the US government was listening to their citizens and basically spying on all their citizens by collecting a treasure trove of metadata and all sorts of, in our cell phone and all sorts of electronic communication. Which, by the way, I actually think, according to that logic, if that is true, I think he's brave, and I think in a lot of ways you could call him a bit of a hero. Unfortunately, it didn't matter. I actually thought, man, if Americans ever found out that the government, for certain, I think people always assumed it, but if they ever actually found out that the government was tracking what they're doing in electronic format and keeping it on file, like there's actually a file of all of your electronic communications, from your emails to your searches, everything, and that stuff's being tracked, and they had an interest in doing that. If Americans found that out, I mean, I figured people would be rioting. Like, I literally did think that prior to Snowden. And the thing that was the most disheartening to me, there's been two things in the past when it comes to cryptocurrencies and privacy and government and individual privacy, individual liberty, individual liberty, individual privacy. There's been two things that's concerned me a lot in the past several years. One was when Snowden came out and he announced what he did about NSA, no American citizen practically cared. Nobody did a whole lot. It never became an issue for voting. They really didn't care. And there was this thing that, well, why does it matter if I'm not doing anything wrong? Why do I care if the government is watching my emails if I'm not doing anything wrong? That's like saying, why should I care about free speech if I don't have anything to say? I mean, that privacy is the fundamental cornerstone of any democracy of any kind, or representative republic, whatever you want to say. Like, privacy is the cornerstone of freedom, because it's only through privacy that you can discuss dissenting comments and arguments in the safety of privacy. You can I don't want to go too far into this, but you can community organize, you can politically organize. But when you get to the point that you're worried about somebody seeing what you're saying because you might be persecuted, that starts encroaching on privacy and free speech. And that is when it starts to get a little bit scary. But Nobody has cared. The other thing that concerned me a lot is the crypto boom and then people not understanding the fundamental use cases of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Why is it important? Like, they don't even know. And it's because people, well, I don't want to go there. They're too trusting. Most people assume that there's some sort of noble benefactors that are guarding and protecting their security, their way of life. I mean, if you take socialism and communism, for example, they sound great. You're talking about an organization, you're talking about a political structure, you're talking about a system where people tend to be equals, and you don't have to worry about too many people taking advantage of each other, and it's, no one rises too much above, and everybody shares the wealth. Everybody works for a collective good in some manner. Both of them, socialism and communism, both kind of have that sort of approach in their foundational theory, so to speak. But what you forget in both of those scenarios, and this is the same thing that causes capitalism to go bad, is there's always somebody at the top that has to administer what's going on. And the problem with socialism and capitalism, the people at the top, whoever they may be, have a lot of latitude, a lot of control on the structure. And therefore, in order for the system to remain truly fair and truly utopian, if it was even possible, which I don't believe it is, the only way for that to be the case is that the person at the top has to literally be some sort of noble benefactor who's not looking, or noble dictator who's not looking to take advantage of the system, who's not corruptible. But humans, by their very essence, are corruptible, and some are easily corrupted. So that makes socialism bad, and it makes communism bad. And by the way, it also makes centralization bad. That's why decentralization is good. It prevents having that governmental or overseeing the corruption from the top. It prevents the corruption from the top. That's the best way to say it. So, by the way, let's talk about Snowden. What if Snowden isn't really the whistleblower from the NSA? Like, what if he was a CIA plant? What if? And let's talk about how that could be possible. And I'm not saying that he is, by the way. I'm just saying too many people accept the official word without questioning it. Let's talk about something for just one moment. If you're Edward Snowden and you are in Tokyo, I believe, which is where he was at, or Hong Kong, but he was in somewhere in one of those major cities in Asia. If you're there and you're seeking asylum, say in Ecuador, and you got to go to Ecuador, why in the world would you fly to Russia? They've got straight flights to Ecuador all day long. Why would you go through Russia, knowing good and well? By the way, if you don't know how Edward got stopped, they basically essentially stopped his passport. Like, he wasn't able to use his passport, and that's how they captured him. So why would you go to Russia to get to Ecuador? Think about that. Just think about that. Why? I don't know the answer to that, and I'm not saying that Edward Snowden, the official story of who we know about Edward Snowden, isn't accurate. I'm just saying that I am logical enough to realize there's a couple of things that don't make sense about that potentially. But it's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change my life. Edward Snowden doesn't change my life, and he doesn't get to be an expert on cryptocurrency. And if he's not the actual whistleblower that we think that he is, then this makes this very fascinating. Why does he suddenly why do people finally pay attention to what he has to say? Interesting. Let's keep going. Let's just listen to what he has to say. Exiled American whistleblower Edward Snowden has weighed in on the conversation surrounding Bitcoin, stating that while the market lodestar, which will be eventually fade away. Okay, that's written about like I talk sometimes. The use of cryptocurrencies will not end with Bitcoin. Speaking in an interview with Ben Wisner, director of the ACLU Speech Privacy Technology Project, Snowden said that the belief which supports Bitcoin acting as a global currency will merely transition itself to other cryptocurrencies instead of dissipating. Scarcity and belief. Responding to a question from Wisner about whether he believes Bitcoin has long-term intrinsic value, Snowden compared Bitcoin to paper fiat money and pointed out that the only difference between fiat and monopoly money is the belief generated by state backing, which essentially boils down to men with guns. In his view, while Bitcoin and other blockchain-based crypto assets have a severely limited amount of fundamental value, two things in particular ensure that Bitcoin remains viable in the near term. This is important. First, he said, is scarcity, which is caused by Bitcoin's limited supply of 21 million BTC. This scarcity engenders competition to mine the remaining few million Bitcoin, and that alone gives it a measure of value. The second and more significant factor, in his view, is the fact that large segments of the general population view it as a bona fide means of exchange. According to Snowden, this belief in cryptocurrency frameworks as a method of transitioning real-world monetary value outside of banking networks is transferable and will survive the death of Bitcoin. In his words, that belief is how cryptocurrencies have enormous amounts of money across the world electronically without the involvement of banks every single day. One day, capital B, Bitcoin, will be gone. But as long as there are people out there who want to be able to move money without banks, cryptocurrencies are likely to be valued. Great utility for implementation. Snowden, who lives in Russia after claiming asylum there in 2013, also revealed that despite his prediction of its impending demise, he likes Bitcoin because of the opportunities and possibilities it has created around the world. Using himself as an example, he said, let's say Bank of America doesn't want to process a payment for someone like me. In the old financial system, they got an enormous amount of clout, as do their peers, and can make that happen. If a teenager in Venezuela wants to get paid in a hard currency for a web development gig they did for someone in Paris, something prohibited by local currency controls, cryptocurrency can make it possible. Bitcoin may not yet really be private money, but it is the first free money. This is huge. I want to talk about this for a minute. I want to talk about capital controls and what that is. Capital controls is basically what you see happening a lot in the news. Like if you've ever went to make a large withdrawal from a bank in cash for any reason, buy a used car, buy a hot tub. If you've ever done that, you may find in this day and age that banks don't have it. I mean, I can tell you several stories because of various businesses that I've worked with where even going to get out less than $10,000 was not allowed, that the individual had to come back later that day or the next day to be able to make the withdrawal because the bank either didn't have the cash or they had the cash, but if they used that money, if they gave that large withdrawal to that person, then they wouldn't have enough loose cash to do business throughout the rest of the day. So that's crazy when you think about it. And then you start seeing things like Chase Bank. There's a lot of movements to get away from cash. And I believe ultimately we'll be a cashless society. The single biggest reason is capital controls, to be able to control currency. Yes, it also prevents money laundering, which is what they're going to tell you, but it also helps make certain that people don't cheat on taxes, for example. It's really all about control, and it makes it difficult to move money. Like if you've ever traveled internationally, typically you can't carry more than $10,000 on you across, a border. And you would have to ask yourself, if I'm free and I've not done anything wrong, I'm not convicted of a crime, what if I want to carry $10,000 across the border? Why is that a problem? And you may say, well, why would you need $10,000? Well, they're probably not going to, you might not need $10,000 today, but roughly inflation doubles every 10 years, which means that the currency devalues itself in half roughly every 10 years. By that logic, in 20 years, that $10,000 is only going to be $2,500. Who's going to arbitrarily say, okay, now you can move $40,000 without penalty? $2,500 is not a lot of money. Of course, we'll probably be at a cashless society at that point, and that's where we're headed. Again, that's another argument for cryptocurrency, but we'll get to that in a little later. In my next live stream, I'm going to talk about the future mass adoption. So, and another thing about capital controls, people don't realize that banks are not just capital controls, really banking controls. The average citizens have never had a real problem with bank. Now, if you're a cryptocurrency enthusiast, you might have seen something crazy. I mean, if you withdraw too much cryptocurrency at one time or too often, you may get your account shut down. There are plenty of forums you can go read on, and even some YouTubers out there who have had accounts frozen or shut down for withdrawing cryptocurrency. And you can ask why. I'm not doing anything wrong. But I can tell you other things. I can tell you two scenarios specifically. One was, one of these scenarios is someone that I know personally, and the other scenario, a friend of mine who's a financial advisor had this happen to one of his clients. So a friend of mine who's a financial advisor had a long-term client of the bank who went and started a business or bought a business. And the business that she bought was a laundromat. And she had a laundromat for a while and it was doing well. And now, mind you, she had been a customer of the bank for several years. I don't know exactly, but a long time before she bought this business. No one ever told her that she should expect to have a problem or anything. But suddenly, he was notified that she would no longer be a customer of the bank. When he inquired about why she was no longer a customer of the bank, from management of the branch, all he got was that the bank saw her business as a risk. And when he dug a little deeper, because he knows this lady, he considered her a good client, and even he'd go as far as to say a good working relationship, maybe a good friend, from work, if you will. Like, he thought highly of this client, and he was like, "What are you talking about?" And what they didn't like was the amount of cash she was bringing in from the laundromat, and so they just made the decision arbitrarily: we don't want her business anymore. Now, if you ever have that happen, then you start to realize how interesting this whole thing gets to be. I mean, what if 2 or 3 major banks in town tells her this? It starts making her life and her business very difficult. I've got another example of a gentleman who owned this is someone I personally know who owned a shipping yard. He built boats, basically. He owned a shipping yard who built and repaired boats. And he had this for a long time. And it was 20 plus years he had this shipping business. During 2006, 2007, 2008, the housing crisis and all that went on. He had a $750,000 line of credit that he used from the bank, and this is how he ran his entire business, right? So he would build ships, repair ships, and he would have to use that operating money till he got the bills collected, which could take 30, 60, 90 days, and for some clients it could take 6 months to a year. To he had accounts receivables receiving money from past due work, but he always used his line of credit, and he used a lot of his line of credit to keep the business going in the short term until he collected payment. He suddenly got a phone call during the housing crisis or just after the housing crisis saying that they could no longer extend credit to him. Mind you, he had a great credit score in general. He had never been late on anything with them ever. It was just his way of doing business. But the large line of credit, the bank was trying to get the credit lines off their books for whatever reason, and they wanted to short their books or something. I'm not really sure. But they called him and they said, "Hey, we can no longer extend credit to you." He had 90 days. They were doing what's called recalling a note or recalling a loan. He had 90 days to pay it off in full, which he could not do. He could not pay the full thing off in 90 days. And it essentially just put him out of business, literally. And when I met him, he was an Uber driver, and he worked for another guy at a shipping yard as a manager of part of his shipping yard. And when I was talking to him, how did you get into that? He said, "Well, I used to own a shipping yard. I owned it for 20 years. And I said, What happened?" And that's when he told me this story. Could you imagine getting a phone call overnight? And he told me he had no clue it was going to happen. Totally caught him off guard. But that's what happens when you're dealing in banking environments like this. I mean, these are real stories that can happen. Now, you let the economy get really, really bad. I mean, let's have a really bad economy. I mean, you could potentially see homes getting recalled on mortgages. Most people don't know the fine print of your mortgage gives the bank the right to recall the mortgage, and the mortgage has to be made due. And most people don't realize that that actually is a possibility. Granted, it's a slim possibility, but there's a reason that it's written in there legally. You have to understand that it's not written in there because the banks believe that it could never, ever, 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 ever happen. If there wasn't at least a possibility that something like that could happen. I'm getting off topic, but I hope you're following what I'm saying. Let's listen to what Edward Snowden here. This is where I diverged with him a great deal. Going further, however, he criticized the existing blockchain hashing paradigm, stating that neither of the 2 main hashing methods are great and new ones should be developed. Without mincing words, he described proofs of work as an environmentally destructive activity slighted in the favor of the rich, and proof of stake as a direct handout to the rich in the hope that their greed will keep the system running. I think he's a moron right here. There's this prevailing belief, unfortunately, among some cryptocurrency enthusiasts and investors, that somehow there's this utopia of socialism going to be created with cryptocurrency. And again, it's how can it be made? How can it be fair and not favor the rich? Listen, there will always be rich. There will always be poor. Someone's always willing to go to work. Someone's willing to save more. Someone's willing to invest more. Someone's willing to go without in the short term to make out in the long term. I'm going to tell you right now, those of you who are holding on to your cryptocurrency, in my opinion, this isn't financial advice. If you think you should sell, sell. But in my opinion, those of you that are holding on to your cryptocurrency and you have no intentions of ever selling and you're going to keep buying and it's down the market, the people that do that, when the market goes back up, and I personally believe that inevitably it will, they're going to be rich, and they're going to be rich because they didn't sell. They're going to be rich because maybe, if they needed to live on the money, they found another means to be able to make money. They made the hard decisions. The wealthy in a free market system, the wealthy are always the one who produce the most in a free market system. Cryptocurrency creates a very free market system. It doesn't create a socialistic utopia at all, at all. So proof of work, proof of stake, I'm like, well, what other hashing mechanism do you expect? There will never, no matter if they come up with anything else. And his argument is that's why Bitcoin basically is not going to be Bitcoin. If you notice, that's what he's saying. And by his logic, all the current cryptocurrencies are going to ultimately disappear. And I think that's nonsense, absolute nonsense. There are advantages to proof of work. There are advantages to proof of stake. I don't know if either one of them will fully go away. Who knows? That remains to be seen. However, I want to move into kind of what I think about the future of Bitcoin, because I titled this "The End of Bitcoin 2018," because people are fundamentally thinking about that. They're asking that, is this the end? And you see all this negativity. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now a couple things. Scarcity. There's no reason to be negative on cryptocurrency. I've already given several reasons in this video why a cryptocurrency I believe has to exist. And again, I'm going to do a live stream. I'll go into that in more detail. But keep this in mind. Not only is this scarcity only 21 million Bitcoins, but it's also deflationary. I personally have lost access to wallets. Other people have lost wallets. So that money gets lost forever. If you lose access to your private keys, then it's gone. You're never going to be able to get it back. The most there can ever be is 21 million Bitcoin. But by the time that last Bitcoin is mined, there's less than 21 million Bitcoin available in circulation. And guess what? There will always be less. People will always lose Bitcoin. By that very nature, it's a deflationary supply. It's a shrinking supply. If you saw my video, Money as Debt, not my video, but the video Money as Debt, if you saw that video, or any of the videos that explain the current fractional reserve banking and whatnot, if you understand that, and you understand how banking works, then you know that we are in a constant inflationary environment, meaning that the dollars that you save today, or the British pounds, or the euros that you have today, will always be worth less in the future. Bitcoin, even Ethereum, they will always be worth more in the future. Nobody can create more at some point. It's a deflationary. Well, it'll be interesting how proof of stake works with Ethereum, but in a proof of work algorithm, there's only a certain amount that's going to be able to be produced with Bitcoin, and that is it. That is it. So every Bitcoin that is lost, in theory, the value of Bitcoin goes up even further. Plus, right now, for the foreseeable future, the halvening is coming. If you don't know what this is, the way that the hashing or Bitcoin algorithm, if I'm using the right terminology, the way that it's set up is the difficulty goes up every so many blocks during the mining. And I believe it's next year is the next projected or scheduled happening. And so when that happens, the difficulty, the same hashing power today that can produce 2 Bitcoin, when the halvening, or say 10 Bitcoin, the same amount of hashing power that can produce 10 Bitcoin today, when the halvening occurs, what will happen is that same hashing power only produce 5 Bitcoin or mine 5 Bitcoin. So it becomes that much more difficult to mine over time. And that also, the halvening, I believe the next one's going to be next year. I have to look it up exactly. But the next one's going to be next year. Also, Lightning Network. So technology is occurring, and granted, it's not moving as fast as I would like it to move, but Bitcoin is starting to become more user friendly. And one of the fundamental issues, let's see real quick before we get into this. Where are we at? We've got 24 of you viewing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, everyone. Please, if you haven't already, hit that, smash that like button. Smash that like button. Let's let everyone know about this live stream. So let's talk about the Lightning Network. So the number one concern that's been going on with Bitcoin has been that it can get slow and it can get bogged down over time. And all these other altcoins, they want to be faster and that sort of thing. But Bitcoin, and by the way, Bitcoin, when Bitcoin first came out, they thought it was super fast. But when there's a large amount of transactions, then it clogs up the network. So there's all these proposed solutions. One of them is there's something called the Lightning Network, which is like a side chain. The Lightning Network is one of those things they talked about forever. They talked about it forever, and it finally came out, and it's doing exceptionally well. The network capacity is growing. More and more wallets are using it. More and more people are using it for their cryptocurrency transactions. And basically, I can't technically explain to you what the Lightning Network is, and I may do a whole video on that because it'll force me to get a better understanding on what is the Lightning Network. But basically, what you need to understand is it just allows for transactions to happen far faster on basically a side chain, and it's getting used a lot more. It's up 304% just in this past 30 days. So think about that. Even though the market is tanking, more and more people are using the Lightning Network. So that means people are seeing a use for the Lightning Network, a use case for the transactions. And this helps keep transaction costs down, etc. So this is extremely positive, I believe. And if we were in a bear market, this would cause the market just to spike, like whoop, it's up. And then you hear all of these, YouTube analysts and, CNBC analysts talking about, oh yes, the Lightning Network, that's why the price is going up. I mean, here's a newsflash. Anyone who's trying to tell you exactly why the price is going up or down, unless they control the billions and billions of dollars that are moving in and out of the market, they're just guessing. They're just guessing. Because if the market was going up, there's plenty of people that would tell you it's because of the Lightning Network. I'm going to tell you that the Lightning Network has nothing to do with price action, but it does have a lot to do with developing fundamentals that are making Bitcoin far more usable. This is a strong fundamental. So I am not concerned about where we're going with Bitcoin. I do not think this is the end of Bitcoin. There's the answer. This is not the end of Bitcoin. If you doubted that when you were coming onto this live stream, this is not the end of Bitcoin. What is this? This is the time, if you believe in Bitcoin, only if you believe in it. Let me just tell you what I'm doing. You do what you want to do. I'm accumulating. One of the reasons I love my crypto passive income strategy, and again, I will get back to that series, but one of the reasons I love it is because I'm not worried about losing money on a fiat basis. I'm not worried about buying Bitcoin at 4,000, then it dropping to 3,500. I'm earning it all the time. It's smaller amounts, but it's still part of my accumulation strategy. I plan to be dollar cost averaging, continuously accumulating Bitcoin, because when we have the next bull market, and I personally think that we could have a bull market any point in time, the market could turn around. But I'm hoping personally that the market stays stagnant for a while. I know some of you don't want to hear that, but listen, I personally would like this market to stay stagnant for another year or two at least. I want it to get boring, really boring. I want people to stop talking about it. I want the price to go low and stay low in the same general vicinity for a long time, whether it's at 3,000 or 1,000. I just wanted to stay in the, if it goes below 1,000, God help us, because I'm going to continue to be buying cryptocurrency. Again, with small amounts, dollar cost averaging, accumulating, because I fully believe that we're going to have a crypto mass adoption. I do think most likely Bitcoin will be, and I'll tell you why. There's the most resources behind Bitcoin. When you see I want to say there's something like 5,000 developers or something like that. I'd have to go look at GitHub, but there's a tremendous amount of developers who's worked on Bitcoin more than anything else. When you see another project getting that much attention, that much development, come look at, all you gotta do is look at the coin market cap, 54%. There's 2,000 cryptocurrencies and one has 54%. This one cryptocurrency is larger than all 2,070 of the rest combined, including big names like Ripple and Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, EOS, Stellar, Litecoin, Monero, Cardano, Tether, whatever. All them combined, all 2,070 still does not beat the Bitcoin dominant. Is not more than Bitcoin. So unless we see this dominance start dropping a lot, and there are some things that could cause it to drop, like if any of the actual exchanges start exchanging fiat, like if Ethereum goes on, Ripple and some of these other, we see more exchanges going into places like Coinbase, and we see places like other large exchanges that are actually start trading in fiat, which is probably not going to happen because of regulations. But if that occurs, and you don't have to buy Bitcoin, see, right now you primarily have to buy dollars to Bitcoin, and then you have to have Bitcoin to buy something else. And if you're scared about the market dropping, you have to sell that altcoin and go back to Bitcoin in most cases, and then go from Bitcoin to fiat in most cases. So that does, arguably, people will say that's why the Bitcoin is so high. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but if we see some more on and off ramps that don't, from fiat to crypto, that don't require BTC conversion first, then maybe that will be something to watch. But right now, I think about 60%, I'm 100% certain cryptocurrency will be adopted by the masses. And I'm about 60+% certain that it will be Bitcoin, just so you know, especially when you see development like the Lightning Network. Nobody else is doing that right now. They don't have near the development team. They don't have near the amount of resources working on it on other cryptocurrencies. So all the educational, all the actionable development is taking place on Bitcoin right now. So and if that starts to change, that's when you may see Bitcoin potentially go down. But is this the end of Bitcoin? I don't think it's the end by a long shot. Now, I want to talk about a little bit about market outcome, market outlook a little bit. And what I'm doing, and I've already been talking about it. I'm accumulating, and I believe that the market's going to go up. If you've watched, I've already covered this. I'm just going to recap it. It could go down lower, it could go down to 1,000. I don't know if it's going to go below 1,000. I don't know that. I struggle to see it below 1,000, but if it does, I'll still be a buyer. I will be buying until I am 100% certain Bitcoin will not be the major cryptocurrency going forward. But I'm not 100% certain of that. I am a fan of Bitcoin. I am a fan of Ethereum right now. And you can buy whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I'm not telling you what to buy. I'm just telling you kind of where I'm at right now. And I have other tokens and other projects, but those are much smaller amounts, And you can stay tuned on my channel. Obviously, I am a fan of staking coins, which is proof of stake. So I definitely have some staking coins. So I'm not 100% in Bitcoin or Ethereum. In fact, I have a lot more in other projects. But the reason that I'm in those projects is because I think they benefit directly or indirectly from Bitcoin and crypto and Ethereum dominance. Okay, so I want to talk about this YouTube channel. Where am I going to go in the future of this YouTube channel? Because so many people are just, so much negativity. Before I get there, let me just say this. I gotta do this shout out. Yep, this is on my last channel, and yep, shout out to TuneCore. Now, TuneCore is either totally naive and unaware, and tended to have, Crypto Yardy's best interest at heart, or he's an idiot who's just trying to attack my channel. And I don't have any reason to think that he's an idiot trying to attack my channel. So I'm just going to say he's naive. And there's a lot of naiveness that goes on in this space. I mean, the P3D community, some of those guys, I overall, that's a great community, and I like the community. But some of them, I'll tell you a story in a moment, and people just don't get it. So TuneCore, on behalf of Crypto Yardy, basically filed a copyright infringement, which I'm going to dispute. And the reason he said this is because if you watch this video, I played 2 of Crypto Yardy's songs. But I'm going to file a dispute, and I'll show you why. File a dispute. I gave credit in the video. That is why. I'm going to click continue. By the way, also, my content, there was another section there. I also had fair use rights, because I did a lot of, anyway, I had fair use rights, but we'll just keep going. So I filed that dispute. Okay, so in the video, those of you that watched it, not only did I give credit to Crypto Yardy in the video, I told people to go subscribe to his channel. I promoted the heck out of his channel. If you go look at the comments underneath that video, which was the last video that I did, if you go look at the comments underneath the video, you see he and I had an exchange back and forth. I didn't ask for his permission. I probably had it without asking for it. But in this case, because I promoted the heck out of his channel, TuneCore, get a grip. Yardy probably wants me to promote his channel. So get a grip. And Yardy, if you see this live stream and you disagree, you can feel free to comment below. But this is the same thing that happened that I would not, anytime I talk about someone's video, I always, typically I do my best to go and give them credit. But this is just, I mean, this may be someone who's just trying to be malicious because, or you just simply don't understand marketing, period. And that's a common thing that occurs. It's amazing in some of these projects. Let me tell you what happened in the P3D space. I made a video, and any of you who have watched my videos, my channels, there's a certain style that I do. And that is oftentimes, for a lot of my videos, not always, but for a lot of my videos, I'll create content that can appeal to the masses. But in the video, midway through or towards the end of the video, I will tie that content into projects that I like P3D or HDX20. And by the way, I think those are both potentially good projects, high risk, but good projects to be in if you are bullish on the future of Ethereum, because you can earn some passive crypto value in both of those projects. However, I posted I posted on one of my videos, I had posted I can't remember exactly which video it was, but I said something like, you know, my concerns about P3D or something like that. And then if you went and watched the video, or no, it was back when daily divs was actually a thing, and people were so passionate and excited by it. And I knew from day one this thing was problems, like from day one. But in daily, I had said something about the future or daily div strategy, or the future daily divs was the title of the video. But when you watch the video, you saw that I basically said, this is a strategy if you're going to do it, but I think it's risky. I wouldn't do it. And this is why I wouldn't do it. And I would look for more solid projects like P3D. And this is what I think, this is why P3D is solid. And I think it's better than daily divs. Clearly, the video was designed to capture the eyeballs of the daily divs people and to be able to get to help, you know, open their mind a little bit to some potential issues with daily divs, while at the same time giving credibility to P3D. I actually got spammed, or what do they call it? I got put in a little spam zone, banned for a temporary moment in the P3D community. Someone just saw that I posted that video without watching the video, just bam, spam. And I just thought, what a moron. This is one of the most effective videos that anyone has posted. If you just post a video about, hey, P3D is amazing, P3D is amazing, P3D is amazing. If you did it with Bitcoin, why I love Bitcoin, top 10 reasons Bitcoin is going to go up, Bitcoin's awesome. If that's all you ever did, the only people who's going to watch your videos are people who already agree with you. But if you're trying to get the word out and you're trying to win people over, hence why I put the topic of is Bitcoin dead or the end of Bitcoin 2018, is because the people who think that, I want them to realize that there are some bright lights for the future, in my opinion, and why I feel that way. This is a very negative space right now. People are down on it. So that's why I oftentimes will do that sort of thing with my videos. It's marketing 101 in some respects. But I couldn't believe that I got spammed. And then when I politely complained that, hey, what's going on here? I'm promoting. And at the time I was the biggest video promoter, biggest in P3D at the time. And I wasn't even using referral links or nothing. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you know my reputation. Why would you spam me without reaching out to me, first of all? But it was an automated thing. And so finally, an admin got back to me and he said, hey, I apologize. There was a mix up. Well, first thing, he got back to me and said, well, your video's talking about daily divs. This is negative for P3D. I said, go watch the video and then you can come back and let me know what concerns you have. I wanted to say, go watch the video, then you can come back and give me an apology and I'll gladly accept it, dork. That's what I wanted to say. That's not what I said. So he went and watched the video, came back, and I even forgot who it was. When he came back, he said, hey, yeah, you're right. You know, it's a mistake. I totally took you out of whatever, the spam zone or whatever it was called. And he said, but just be careful. Don't do that in the future. And I said, don't do what? Be careful about making videos about daily divs. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is a very positive. Anyone in this community that sees daily divs, you want them to watch this video so they won't go throw their money away on it. And he replied, yeah, but a lot of people in this community don't even know about daily divs. So you just created an awareness. And I thought, oh my goodness, what nonsense. Again, do not even understand marketing 101, but neither here nor there. It is what it is. So I just filed that dispute. It is what it is. And you already, by the way, get back to me. I think I'm pretty certain that you don't care. But if you have a problem, please let me know. Please let me know. And by the way, that's kind of why I played his video at the front of this live stream. It was kind of a thumbs up to this person. So let me talk about this channel. What's going on for the future of this channel? Let's see. Oh, we can come back over here.
Bitcoin crash. Oh, don't you worry. Don't.
All right, so let's talk about this from my channel. Let's talk about the future of cryptocurrency and what do I think about, you know, where we're going, and I'm sorry, the future of my channel and what I think about where we're going. So this, in theory, is not the best time to build a cryptocurrency channel, especially with all the negativity, even though I'm positive on the future of cryptocurrency and I'm positive on where it's going. This really, less people are searching it, right? Less people want to watch the content, right? So there's a lot of guys that are negative and they're down and out. And I get it. You know, you put up content, you know, it gets half the searches or a third of the searches or 10% of the searches that it used to get. Guys blew up. I mean, people, their channels were growing by like 10,000 plus a month during a bull market. And I have one of the faster growing channels for channels around my size of, you know, others that are out there that I'm paying attention to. And I've been working on it, and I've been hustling to make it happen, and I've been spreading the word and been kind of relentless and tireless and et cetera, et cetera. But in the current market, it's a challenge. So what am I going to do? I'm going to become the best damn YouTuber that I can be. I don't care what anybody else is doing. That's right. They can get the heck out of the way. I do not care. If these YouTubers are making it as easy as possible. Yeah. Remember what I said earlier? When sentiment is down, I'm positive. They're worried about, you know, people are getting out of the market. YouTubers are talking about selling their cryptocurrency, and it's like, were you ever really in this space at all? Or were you just here because of good times? I mean, what was going on? I mean, yeah, the market's going down. Let's see where it's at right now. But that doesn't matter if you believe in the fundamentals. If you believe in it's about the same. If you believe in the fundamentals, who cares? Who cares? The Lightning Network is picking up steam. Who cares? All they're doing is thinning out the competition. They can stop making daily videos. They can stop. Oh, they can slow down how much they're uploading. I'm going to keep making videos. Yes, I know that there's less searches. I don't care. I will grow the biggest channel that I can possibly grow in this space. I will use whatever marketing skills I have. I will use my work ethic, whatever I have, to outwork everybody else. And it's going to be easier because they're slowing down. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you've been thinking about creating a YouTube channel in the cryptocurrency space, go ahead and create it. Go create it right now. Now's the time to do it. Yes, it's not exciting, but when the bull market comes around, I'm going to have all the content out there. And there's far less people out there right now. I want to see some of these smaller YouTubers like Crypto Yardy and some others just get out there, build it right now, especially the ones that talk a little more about the general market. You're always going to have those guys that are like platform hopping or, you know, scheme hopping, so to speak. Those guys are going to always be out there, and that's fine. But people who can talk a little bit more about the market in general and some of the fundamentals of the market in general, and talk fundamentally and do a little bit of education on the various projects that are out there, I want to see their channels explode. And if you've been thinking about starting a channel, start it now. Because here's the thing, you're not going to have to worry about, oh no, you know, my channel's not as busy as it was. Oh no, my channel's losing ad revenue. Oh no, there's less people subscribing to my channel. You're not, because you aren't building during the bull market, so you're not going to know. So you're going to be able to start building now, and ultimately the market's going to come back. I fully believe that, obviously, and then you're going to be ready for some explosive growth in your YouTube channel. So my channel is not going anywhere. And in fact, I'm trying to get more consistent with my uploads. I'm trying to put out better and better content that you want to watch. So my channel is not going anywhere. And I would love if you would comment, give me feedback on my channel, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see more of. I'm going to interact with you as much as I possibly can for as long as I can. I'm going to keep putting out content. I'm actually on vacation right now this week for the next 3 weeks, but I'm right here on this live stream right now, sitting on a balcony of a condo right now. And I'm going to be I have a whole work schedule for this week to put out content. So barring some sort of something unexpected happening, I'm still going to be putting out content. My goal is to get daily content out. Now, I do miss that mark a little bit, but I'm doing my best to get daily content out. So the future of my channel is I'm going to continue to grow my channel. I'm going to continue to put out content. I'm going to continue to interact with you. And if this space is dead for the next 2 years, you will find me right here, still investing in this space, still talking about this space, and still buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies. And I'm just going to be hodling, I'm going to be accumulating, and I'm just going to be ready for the next bull market. And I may take profits when the next bull market comes, but I'm not one of those guys who takes 10% profits. That's not me. That's not how I operate at all. When I take profits, I take profits. But it's for me to take profits, it's got to, like, 5x in some cases, 10x in some cases. I take, and I don't take big profits. I take profits for, here's why I take profits most often, to diversify into other investments. That's the single biggest reason why I take profits. And one of the reasons that I invest in things like the CryptoTab browser, one of the reasons that I invest, by the way, here's the CryptoTab browser. I've got it turned off because I didn't know how it would affect this. 25,000 referrals. That's not the full number, by the way. They've kind of changed how they do this. But I turned it off because I didn't know how it was going to be with this live stream. But I still use a CryptoTab browser. I use Cointiply like crazy. I'm going to be doing some videos with Cointiply. I use Moon Bitcoin, and I use the whole thing as part of a system to grow referrals on the CryptoTab browser. Why? Because I don't care what the price of Bitcoin is. Like, I don't care. This still earns. And I'm going to keep putting out content, and I'm going to try to put more educational content out. I'm going to try to put out tutorials when I can. So if there's anything in particular that you would like to see my take on, or my version, or you'd like to hear me talk about this, if there's ever a news story out there and you're like, hey, what do you think about this news story? This looks negative. Or what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Don't bring me crap coins, shit coins. I mean, that happens anyway, but please give me one less comment to have to delete. But if there's news stories, a big one. If there's news stories out there, mainstream or crypto mainstream, like on, CCN or Cointelegraph and all those places, if there's something you want me to comment on, let me know. I'll probably make a video about it. One thing about being a YouTuber, you're always looking for videos to put out. You're always looking for content to create, and you're always trying to keep your channel and the content somewhat fresh. So I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, but just know I'm not going anywhere. I am not going absolutely anywhere in this space. And you can take that to the bank. Saying thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining this live stream. If you've enjoyed the live stream, please let me know down below. Leave me a comment. Give me a thumbs up. If you haven't given me a thumbs up yet, please smash that like. If you want to promote my channel, there's something that you can do. By the way, there's 3 things you can do. First of all, subscribe and hit the bell notification. That's one thing. There's about 5 things actually. Subscribe, hit the bell notification. The other thing is, do your best to watch my videos all the way through. One of the things that help videos rank well on YouTube is watch time. And I try to keep them entertaining. I try to keep them engaging. And believe it or not, I actually have above average watch time for comparable videos in this space. But if you can watch my videos and help watch them all the way through whenever you have a chance, grab your beer, grab you some popcorn, do what you got to do and watch my videos. It helps my overall watch time which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do a live stream, because it helps improve watch time. The other thing is, leave comments, interact, leave me your opinion, your thoughts, and I'm going to reply back to you. And that just helps overall with my channel. But the single best thing you can do, by the way, is just watch all of my videos all the way through whenever you can. And some of you do that, and I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for being on this live stream. Have an awesome day and an awesome weekend.